Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of the Krusty Canuck podcast. This beautiful August 20th, 2019. As I mentioned earlier, in regards to Who's Your Jihadi and Quebec Equalizations. So we are going to start with Mr. Jihadi Jack. It's been in the news the past couple of days. Oh, poor little guy, goes over to a nasty little war and fights in the name of jihad and Islam and the ISIS cause and all that stuff. And people are like, oh, what are we going to do about this poor little creature? Well, I'm going to put some links at the end of this just to prove basically what the consensus is. Let him rot. Let him rot, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care how old he is. I don't care what he was thinking at the time. He went off on his own accord and his own merits, joined the jihad in Syria, and I don't care where he was or what he was doing. He picked up a gun to fight in the name of Islam and the ISIS mentality, where they were setting fire to journalists, raping women, throwing homosexuals off buildings, all that other great stuff, all in the name of the triumphant ISIS cause, if you call it a cause. Basically joined a terrorist organization to incur terrorism. I don't care where his heart was. I don't care what he believed, what he was told he was going to do, what kind of reward he was supposed to get. When you see this crap in the news, why even bother trying to be sympathetic to these individuals? Honestly, what have you got to prove? Huh? I'll be leaving links in the end of this podcast. You decide for yourself. Anyhow, tell me what you think. You can reach me at krustybcanuck67@gmail.com. Or you can find me on Facebook under Krusty Canuck. Or on the Instagram at Canuck Krusty. Tell me what you think. Should we be lenient towards persons, no matter where they're from, when they go join a known terrorist organization to fight a dirty little civil war in the name of religion rather than the name of humanity? Now, you tell me. From being from being at war and seeing combat and taking part in such festivities myself, my understanding at the time is that we were doing good for the citizens of Afghanistan. We built schools, we helped with wells, we helped them find their own identity, as far as we were told and from what I've seen. But politics, like bad gas, changes all the fucking time. And yet we still have people and politicians in this country, and I'm sure there's some in the States too, who would just love to bring this poor guy over and go, oh, there. Oh, poor guy. Oh, you went to war for a so-called noble cause. Oh. And look what happened to you, shithead. You got caught. Right? I don't think we should give this person or any persons thereof any kind of leeway whatsoever. I don't think he or she or they or whatever else picks up, leaves their homeland to go fight in a dirty fucking war. Right? Syria had its own goddamn problems, let alone you fucking creatures waving your black and white flag over bullshit and identity. Right? And new religious right. Right? History has proven time and time again, church and state does not mix. However, we still have to reteach ourselves not to do that. Now, I was raised in a Christian household. I'm not saying perfectly Christian or, the old man took the Bible out every time he spanked me, or my mother did the same thing. They gave me an incentive when it come to religion. Okay? To choose for yourself. What's your light, son? What do you prefer? Where do you find your guidance? Where do you find your wholeness, or whatever other abbreviation comes up? And by the time I hit my pre-teens, I realized religion was a con. Now, don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. There are many good people out there who preach a Christian gospel, who preach a Jewish gospel, who preach a Muslim gospel. And I've met wonderful Muslims, I've met wonderful Jewish people, I've met wonderful Christian people. But the actions speak louder than the words. Won't you raise a gun in the name of God, or Muhammad, or Judas, or any other fictional character? It's a slippery slope. I don't know. History taught us that Crusades did this and Crusades did that, but Crusaders were also defending what they thought was the Holy Land and what was right for Christian peoples from an onslaught of a Persian Empire. The church has influenced many good things in people's lives, and historically many bad things in people's lives too. But as far as I'm concerned, my God is not short of cash. My God does not need virgins. And my God does not need any more bloody martyrs calling the shots. That's my stand on religion, ladies and gentlemen. But for this creature, Jihadi Jack, let him rot in a Kurdish prison. Let the Kurds have their way with him. I know I say let humanity and merit win the day, but he merited himself for a good fucking prize. And I don't want to hear any more bleeding hearts about how this poor man, poor man. They all said the same thing about Mr. Kadar, you know. He was 15 years old and forced to make explosives to kill enemy soldiers in Afghanistan. And yet he's living the high and mighty life on the Canadian taxpayer's dime. Because Justin believes a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. Even though Mr. fucking Letts here was not a Canadian citizen, he was a British citizen who happened to have a father that was a Canuck. And somehow he got dual citizenship. But it's not Canada's problem, ladies and gentlemen. And to these politicians, if you hadn't been listening to this broadcast and you're observing and listening to what I'm saying, no, don't let him come back to Canada. Okay? We got enough problems here with our justice system letting people get away with fucking murder, i.e. the little Tori Stafford case when they accidentally found out that her murderer was sitting in a goddamn fucking sweat lodge for healing purposes. Yeah, okay. Are you going to put this clown in a sweat lodge too? Read him poetry? Give him some crayons? Maybe show him how to do some interpretive dance to get rid of that anger he felt while he was a fucking jihadist? Right? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think Justin, if he was smart, he would say no to it, throw this clown in fucking prison, and none of the taxpayers' dime. Let him sit in Kurdistan or whatever the hell he is. Let him sit in a Kurdish prison. Let the Kurds deal with him. Right? Because they were affected against the ISIL group anyway. They were treated like absolute garbage. And they were hunted down and slaughtered like fucking lambs. Let them take their revenge out on those who committed the crimes. Right? You know, how sympathetic were people when Nazis escaped? Actual Nazis, you know. They were being hunted down until all these criminals were in their 90s. Right? I'd leave a link to that right now, but right now I don't have time to research. Just got home from work, so I'm not feeling very, very inquisitive at the moment. But I'll leave links to the end of my page. Anyhow, tell me what you think. You reach me at krustybcanuck67@gmail.com. Or you can find me on Facebook under Krusty Canuck. And on the Instagram at Canuck Krusty. You know, or even here in Podbean. Leave a comment or a like or two. Or, you know, add another subscription. You know, leave a comment on my YouTube page as well. That's where I usually post all my videos, my podcasts. So, and a special thank you once again to my new subscribers. Some of you have put your private modes on. Nonetheless, thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. Please subscribe, share, comment, like, and don't forget to click the little bell that you see at the right-hand corner of the view screen on the YouTube. You know, lets the algorithm know that, yeah, I actually give a shit about what I'm doing, and I'm just not some fly-by-night so-called alt-right fanatic. So I've been told. Anyhow, back to Jihadi Jack and his claims. Well, Brian Lilly wrote a pretty good article on him in the Sun there yesterday. And he more or less told the world, no, let him sit in prison. I agree. You know, I agree with what he says, and I agree with what Andrew Scheer says in regards to that. Why should the Canadian taxpayer clothe and feed this creature? You know, if it was up to me, let him sit in prison. I wouldn't let him go anywhere other than his 8x10 cell, if he has an 8x10. Get him necessities, you know, or better yet, just have him shot. Really, you know. Justin used to say all these things about Canadians and Canadians and Canadian, and how, you know, he'll let people keep their citizenship because he does believe in that. You know, typical non-answers from a non-leader. Right? I wonder how he's feeling right now about that when his ideas and everything comes backfiring in front of him 2 months before a federal election. Right? Think about it, Justin. Think about it, Christopher Freeland. Think about it, Bill Blair. Think about Mr. Goodale. Think about it, Climate Barbie. And think about it, everyone else who stood by Justin showing off his socks, letting this kind of shit happen. Right? You know, oh, I'm a Canadian citizen, so therefore I should get special treatment and special privilege. Oh, I'm begging, please, please let me come home. No, you do your time. You committed a crime as far as I'm concerned. You do your time, and I don't care if you're 18, if you're 20 years old, or 25 years old, or 56 years old. You did something really stupid, Buckeye. Pay the price. Shit simple. Pay the fucking price. You don't deserve any special treatment. You don't deserve any special privileges. You don't deserve your story to be heard, as far as I'm concerned. When you took part in a ritualistic fucking unit that prided itself on setting people on fire or cutting people's heads off with a knife and recording it and sending it to powers that be, right? There are things I witnessed and I saw as a soldier I do not want to fucking relate to ever again. There are things my friends have seen and done as soldiers that don't want to have a repeat of again. They don't want to see it again. And I guarantee you there are things in my mind I cannot just shake off and just put off and turn off at the snap of a finger. Tell you something, folks, war is fucking hell, regardless of what your personal belief is. Right? Whether it was my grandparents fighting real fascists, or an uncle I had who was actually fighting real communists in Korea, to some of the Vietnam vets I had the opportunity of talking to, what they witnessed in South and North Vietnam alike, and to what I've seen in Afghanistan, to what my friends saw, to what some of my comrades saw and did and overcame. So a creature like this, Mr. Jihadi Jack, Mr. Jack Letts, if by chance you're listening to this broadcast, sunshine, fuck you. Pay your fucking dues, boy. Honestly. You know, and to anybody else who wanted to join the ISIS fight and the ISIL and who wants to talk about anything religious in the name of God, where you want to kill people en masse in the name of your faith, fuck you too. Okay? I've seen enough killing. I don't want to see any goddamn more. And I'm pretty sure my listeners out there don't want to see any more either too, but it's time we stop being lenient. Time we stop being ever so caring and considerate to these people's feelings and start laying down the hammer of the fucking law. Okay? Like I said before, this individual took it upon himself on his own merits to go to Syria to take part in what ISIS did. Oh, now he wants a place to live. Poor guy. Same as those ISIS brides. Oh, they want a place to live. Oh, please, please, please. You took it upon yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, to go over there and do this shit that was caused. Not any democratic country is responsible for your actions. You took it upon yourself to pick up said gun. You took it upon yourself to spread your legs for jihadi. You took it upon yourself to do all that shit. And now the federal governments in Britain, Canada, the United States, they got to foot the bill for you to come back? No. No, you stay there. You stay there. Yeah. You stay there and smoke garbage cigarettes, drink shit coffee, and, pay your dues. While the rest of us working class folk in these democracies, we'll prosper with our freedom because we made the right decisions with our lives. We'll fight for this freedom in this country. We will fight for people that want to go to work and want to raise their kids in peace and security. We will fight for people that want sanity. We will fight for people that want responsible government and not the shitheads that are in power right now who want to give you guys coloring books and poetry lessons and interpretive dance lessons and say, oh, you're a valued member of society. Yeah, sure you are. Anyone advocates setting fire to somebody because they're reporters, or throwing anybody off a building because they're gay, or systematically raping women because they're a different ethnic minority group. Oh, yeah, you deserve such special treatment, all right. Here's a special treatment that I would gladly give you. 762. For my non-military friends, the 308. Cock and load and bang. There you go. That'll cost the Canadian taxpayer about $2.25. $2.25 to get rid of fucking some fungus. Pardon me if I sound so fucking violent, but I'm just really mixed on this. I'll leave links at the bottom of the page. But I'll let you decide. Decide for yourselves, folks. I don't want this clown anywhere near us. And who knows? Maybe there might be a handful of more ISIS people saturated in our society today, because Ralph Goodell assures us there's nothing to see here, based on one of my other podcasts there, right? And Bill Blair, in his infinite wisdom, Mr. Minister of Hotel Accommodations and Refugee Status, rather than safety of this country. I find it amazing how it's such a contradiction when it comes to guns and violence, and yet no one worries about anyone who actually went overseas to fight a dirty little fucking war. Right? They'd spend more time worrying about guys like me and my neighbors and friends of mine, worrying about how our guns are locked up, compared to how did this clown get access to go over there and the weapons that he was given to use to fight his dirty little war. Yeah. Anyway, tell me if you want to give me an opinion or two. Send me a suggestion. You can reach me at crustybcanuck67@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Facebook, and you can find me at Krusty Canuck, or Canuck Krusty on Instagram. And even here on the Podbean, you can send me a comment or two. And, of course, on YouTube, you can leave a comment, subscription, comment, like, whatever. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I believe in open debate, ladies and gentlemen, but if you're going to sit there and throw crap at me and call me names, I'm not going to listen to your crap. I'm just going to delete your comment, right? And a little spiel here for those individuals that used to get mad at me for advertising my work in their feed. Well, let me tell you something, folks. Those individuals that want to scream and yell and kick their feet because they don't like what I have to say, no one has forced you to listen to what I have to say. No one is making you listen to my work. If you see my advertisement in your feed, you have every choice to click on it or not click on it. Shit's simple, right? That's all you got to do. But if you're going to sit there and try to get intellectually superior with me because I have an opinion on something that I'm pretty sure that half of you folks never even seen in your life, don't start. Don't even try, because you'll lose, right? If you like what I have to say, hey, click like. If you got something positive to say to me, hey, send me a comment. If you don't like what I have to say, well, send me a comment too. But you're just opening up the floodgates, folks. To my listeners and my fans out there alike, this is not geared towards you. This is just geared towards those comments I've been receiving from so-called superior intellects, or people who have their history professors telling them what to think and what to say. Yeah, I used to have teachers telling me what to think and say too, but half of them are dead right now, and a few I still respect, and a few I just don't really give a shit about. So, hey, that's life. Anyhow, moving on, Mr. Jihadi Jack, you got no respect here, as far as I'm concerned. Go cry your liberal tears elsewhere. As far as I'm concerned, you can rot in fucking prison. You don't deserve any special treatment. You made the decision to go where you wanted to go and do what you had to do, and blah, 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 blah. Now you got caught. Oh, no, please help me out. Nope. Be a man. Serve your fucking time. Like I said, I'd give you a 7.62 or a 308. That's my logic. Cut the fungus off right at the beginning. Done. I'd probably give more incentive to people not to join these little groups, right? Anyhow, moving on. Quebec Equalization. It was a headline in the Sun the other day. Jason Kenney talking to the Quebec Premier about equalizations, and how the Quebec Premier thinks that Quebec is entitled to equalizations because they were part of the Confederation in 1867. And yet equalizations didn't start coming around until the late 50s in this country, ladies and gentlemen. Right. So yes, Quebec joined the Confederation in 1867. Did they sign the Constitution, however, in 1982? Well, as far as I remember, they didn't, right? And as far as I remember, Pierre Trudeau and Brian Mulroney and Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin and even Stephen Harper all said themselves, Quebec is a distinct society. But they're no more distinct than us. That's what I believe. They're no more distinct than the Chinese Canadians that live in every city. They're no more distinct than the Greek Canadians or Italian Canadians that help build a lot of good construction companies in this country. They're no more distinct than the First Nations, no more distinct than the Inuit, no more distinct than the Métis, no more distinct than people who live in North Vancouver compared to people who live in Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. They're no more distinct than the people who constantly work on rotation and alert. They're no more distinct than people that live in Point Pelee Island. Right? No more distinct than Yukon. Right? It's uniqueness. I do have a respect for the French language, and I have some respect for the French culture. I also have respect for the people I've met in France, and to the numerous Quebecer friends that I've served with in Her Majesty's military. And yes, I didn't want to drop Their Majesty's bomb there. Prince Andrew's going through a shitstorm for being a pervert. Shame on you, Andrew. Shame on you, fucker. Anyhow, make it a long story short, I don't believe any province deserves any special treatment in this country. Alberta has contributed a lot when it comes to the oil and gas. They've contributed a lot when it comes to natural resources, i.e. oil and gas, as Ontario, as Quebec, and as every other province in its own right. But I don't believe Quebec deserves any more money just because it's Quebec. I don't believe it's a constitutional thing. I believe it's a priority thing for all, right? Why should Quebec get $13 billion and subside their 11% income, right? Quebec is the highest tax province in the country. Is it not? You're paying taxes on your license plate. You're paying taxes on insurance, your land taxes, your income tax. Great social programs. That's excellent. But why should they get $13 billion? And Alberta has to borrow money to get the money out there. Well, why does any province have to borrow money to get ahead? Right? Wasn't it Quebecers? Well, not all Quebecers, but wasn't it Montreal and Quebec City saying no to Eastern Gateway? Energy East. Did they not say no to Energy East because the environmental impact? And yet, how much raw sewage is being dumped in the fucking St. Lawrence Seaway as we speak? Right? It's also BC saying no to certain things, and yet, how much raw sewage from Victoria is being dumped in the Pacific Ocean? Right? Oh no, environmental impact there. Just biohazard. What the fuck do I know? Oh shit. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking to you from Alberta. Right? I care about this province. I care about Manitoba. I care about Saskatchewan. I care about BC, Yukon, Inuit. I care about Northwest Territories, Newfoundland, Labrador, New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, La Belle Province, and Ontario. Right? I was born in Ontario, folks, and I spent the better part of 11 years out here, and I've seen the wonders and the amazement that this province has to offer the rest of the country, as every other province does too. But when it comes to our oil and gas, until we find a way to magically live off sunlight and magically live off wind power and magically live off any other means, this is what we got, right? And there have been more and more environmental regulations put forth in the past 20 years in this province than there has been anywhere else. And yet a lot of people don't want, dirty Alberta oil, but they'll take Saudi oil, right? You'll take Saudi oil, and you'll take oil from Nigeria, and you'll take oil from Venezuela, but you won't take your homegrown. Why? I'll leave a link. Brian Lilly made a good point discussing the equalization, especially from Jason Kenney there, basically stating, no, he's going to turn the pipes off. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. But, you demand payout after payout after payout, and yet you're doing nothing to promote the longevity of said system. Why should you be paid? Like I've said numerous times, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you do. I do not believe any society in this country deserves any special treatment over the other. Right? Based it on merit, not in the language that you speak, not in the culture you identify with. Base it on merit, I don't care if Quebec is screaming about equalization. They should have thought of that before they said no to expansion. They should have thought of that before they put more regulations and more strangleholds on progress, right? Rather than their fucking identity. I work with a lot of Quebecers in the military, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll tell you, they're not separatists. They're patriots. They love their country. Some call themselves French Canadian, some just call themselves Canadian. Nonetheless, they love their country. And I had the opportunity to work on some great Quebecers overseas, and I've worked for and with some great Quebecers up until the end of my career. So, it's obvious the consensus is just a handful of politicians in La Ville de Quebec, calling the shots because, we want more money. Kind of like what Jill Duceppe used to say every time there was a Harper budget. Oh, but there's nothing for Quebec, nothing for Quebec. Well, Quebec charges a lot of taxes, charges your citizens a lot of taxes. So budget from there, right? Budget from there. As far as I'm concerned, until Alberta gets its machinery going, until pipelines are created, I don't think Alberta's obligated to foot the bill for anybody. Right? And that's where you get responsible government stepping in and looking after things properly, budgeting properly, right? Making sure that things are looked after in your provinces. So all the premiers should get together and discuss budgeting, looking after their own, right? Rather than worrying about Alberta to give up more billions of dollars for the sake of someone's feelings, right? Anyway, tell me what you think. You can reach me at krustybcanuck67@gmail.com, or you can reach me at Facebook under Krusty Canuck, and on the Instagram at Canuck Krusty. You can find me on YouTube when I post this video, and you can find me here in the Podbean. Send me a comment or two, send some links, and subscribe. And don't forget to press the little red bell at the bottom of your right-hand bottom of your screen there on the YouTube. Keep the algorithm going, get some positive vibes going out in the world, and subscribe, please. Subscribe and share, and please like. The more likes, things build up, wonderful things lay ahead. And yeah, that's basically my take on Quebec. Like I said, I don't believe anybody deserves a special privilege or a special treatment because they're from here or from there, you know. Actually, that's funny because the other day I had a debate with somebody in regards to my status as a veteran. And I looked at him and I said, what do you mean status? You know, we're not carrying cards around, you know, deserving special privileges, right? I did my 20 years. I got hurt in the job, paid my dues. And I was compensated. And I also receive a pension every month, too. So besides working and then getting a pension, I'm doing okay. Yeah, but I don't deserve any special treatment because of it. You know, I did the work, did my time, did the best I could with what I had, and I was compensated for what happened. Right? I don't deserve any special treatment for that, you know. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it when people say, oh, thank you for your service and thank you for this. Hey, that's not a problem. But I also tell some individuals too, especially in person, think about us come next election. Think about the veterans, think about seniors, think about the present state of our military come next election. And who do you think is going to do the better job to look after it, right? So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I will reiterate, I do not believe any one society in this country deserves any special treatment. You know, just because they speak French or English or because they speak this or speak that, you know. Every culture in this country is unique in its own way because they've all had something contribute to us physically and socially throughout the centuries. First Nations are unique. Ukrainian Canadians are unique. European Canadians are unique. French Canadians, you know, the Métis, the Cree, the Ojibwe, the Blood, the Blackfoot, Haida Kwai, everyone, the Inuit, the Dene, everybody. Everybody is unique. And I'm not sitting here trying to pull the guitar and do kumbaya. I'm just telling you how it is from my perspective, right? And when it comes to equalization, I'm full agreement with Kenny. No, or we turn the taps off, right? Why not? Let them be. You know, the oil industry in this country, ever since Justin's election, has been screwed. Happened under Notley, right? And now her people are trying to give Sheila Gunn Reid a hard time for writing a book about her, right? Saying it's slander and it's this. Well, whatever. You know, so you get these clowns stepping in, calling the shots again in regards to, you know, people's feelings rather than, you know, paying dues for their actions. You know, you're missing the point. So all I can say is come federal election, folks, let's really look at who we're going to put in charge. Let's have people to tell Quebec. And let's have some Quebecers out there. To my Francophone listeners, honestly, like what is going on in that province when it comes to this leadership demanding things, you know? You know, to my Quebec listeners, who are these clowns calling the shots for you? Honestly, you know? It's safe to assume that everybody in every province of the country wants their liberty, wants to pay their fair share of tax, but wants to enjoy the benefits of their labors without relying on someone else to look after something all the time. You know what I mean? Right? But yeah, I pose a question to my Quebec listeners out there. What do you guys think? Please send me a question or a comment. You know, Krusty B. Canuck 67 at gmail.com. Facebook under Krusty Canuck. Instagram at Canuck Krusty. And here on the Bean and on YouTube. So I don't know what to say other than, we still have lackluster politics. Justin is still denying any wrongdoing because, of course, he's likes to think his shit don't stink. Well, that's what happens when you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth and a silver feather in your ass. You think you're invincible. Sock boy, cock boy, whatever, But anyway, I've been Krusty Canuck. Thank you for paying attention. And before I go, please consider donating if you can. If you give me a $5 to $10 donation every month here on the Patreon page of the Podbean, give me your particulars. I will mail you a T-shirt of your choice from my Teespring line. And if you just like to give a donation, that's great too. If you just want to buy a shirt or an item for my merchandise, that's great as well. But note this, every time you donate or every item purchased, 30% of each donation and item sold, I will graciously give to the Calgary Veterans Food Bank. Help them along the way because a lot of veterans out there need to eat. And in a way, it's my way of giving back to the community too. So please don't hesitate. Consider donating, subscribing, liking, sharing, all that good stuff. And I've been Krusty Canuck. And I'm trying to get a podcast and a video up at least every week if time permits. I'm not working too late. But I'll try to get some product out there at least once or twice a week. So you can all tune in and enjoy. Anyway, I've been Krusty Canuck. This has been my report for the 20th of August, 2019. Take care of yourselves, look after your loved ones, and remember, folks, humanity and merit wins the day. See you next time. Bye for now.